We all know everyone is beautiful in their own way, but unfortunately, Disney villains often come with unique features you just can't ignore. Talented artists reimagine them as beautiful, and we can't get enough of Captain Hook's new look. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a big thumbs up. Now sit back and enjoy as we look at 10 Disney villains reimagined as beautiful. Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. Let's start with Yzma, one of the most unique-looking human characters out there. Just like the rest of our beloved Disney villains, Yzma is hungry for power, money, and she loves to plot against Kuzco, the main protagonist of the story. She turned into a villain after she gets fired, and since then, she is determined to get revenge on her boss, Kuzco. With this plot, it's hard to believe this is a Disney movie for children, right? Well, it is, and many love Yzma for her humorous side to her revenge plotting. Her looks, on the other hand, might be slightly unfortunate. Yzma is tall and very thin. She has a pointy chin, big eyes, and an even bigger smile. Her features aren't highlighted as exactly pretty, but this artist, who goes by the simple nickname Jay, reimagined Yzma's looks. Doesn't she look stunning? She's still got that unique character vibe to her, but the human version of Yzma looks far less terrifying. The artist managed to take her big eyes and turn them into the most beautiful eyes you have ever seen. But despite her looks, you can't deny that her character is hilarious. We'd love to see a live action of The Emperor's New Groove. Who do you think could play Yzma? Shan Yu from Mulan. Here's a question for you. How many men does it take to deliver a message? Male Disney villains come in all shapes and sizes, and they're usually much more intense when it comes to plotting revenge. But the most ruthless villain out there is Shan Yu from Mulan. He's strong, confident, and extremely cold-blooded. His physical features aren't doing him any favors either. Although he's very muscular, he comes with very sharp facial features that aren't exactly easy on the eye. But Jay, the artist we mentioned earlier, managed to turn him into a Game of Thrones style head turner, and we love it. Check out his impressive makeover. Although his features are still sharp, this version of Shan Yu has that majestic look you just can't help but admire. His muscles are much more sculpted, although we do think that his attitude hasn't changed at all. We all know the story of Mulan, who challenges gender roles, and Shan Yu is one of those villains that doesn't underestimate women, although we can imagine he doesn't do this out of respect. Shan Yu is one of the meanest villains on our list, but we can't wait to show you what other villains look like with their new beauty makeover. Dr. Facilier from The Princess and the Frog. Dr. Facilier comes with a very interesting sidekick. He has his own shadow that has its very own personality, which is why he's also known as the Shadow Man. Dr. Facilier wants to be the wealthiest and most powerful man in New Orleans, and he's determined to reach his goal. Dr. Facilier isn't exactly a charismatic villain, and his looks aren't doing him any justice. He's tall, dark, slender, and has a tiny, perfectly shaved mustache, purple eyes, long, bony fingers, and a gap in between his front teeth. He's not exactly easy on the eye, is he? Jay, the artist, decided to give him a makeover and turned him into a slightly more handsome Disney villain. His outfit is suddenly very stylish, although we love that the artist didn't change his features. The long, bony fingers, the mustache, the perfect posture, it's all still there. What do you think about this Shadow Man? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being extremely handsome, which number would you give the new version of Dr. Facilier? Speaking of the man, do you want to hear an interesting fan theory? The DeviantArt user suspects that the Shadow Man is actually Tiana's father, James, who died during the war. But how would this villain know of Tiana if he didn't meet her until the end of the movie? Although, of course, the characteristics of Tiana's father seem to differ from Dr. Facilier. We might never know if this is true. The Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Although she has a lovely name, the Queen of Hearts is immature, loud, and incredibly cruel, which is why she's on the list. Not only does she want to behead Alice, but she also wants to rule Wonderland and make sure everyone obeys her orders. The Queen of Hearts is an obese character with a gold crown, earrings, a red headband, and a black and red gown with black and yellow stripes. Alice is quoted saying that the Queen of Hearts is a fat, pompous, bad-tempered old tyrant, and well, she's not exactly wrong. But Crimson Cobwebs from DeviantArt decided to give the Queen of Hearts a second chance. She combined the looks of an adult model Vanessa Lake and the fierce attitude of the Queen of Hearts and gave the Disney villain a stunning makeover. Would Alice in Wonderland's story change if the Queen of Hearts looked like this? Or could she still play off the villain we know and love? Many confuse the Queen of Hearts with the Red Queen from from Through the Looking Glass. And although the two share similarities, they're not the same characters. We're not sure what the Red Queen would look like if she ever got a makeover, but our Alice in Wonderland Queen is totally fabulous. Cruella DeVille from 101 Dalmatians. Although she's a villain, you have to admit that Cruella DeVille is one of the most fabulous antagonists ever. She's one of the most iconic Disney villains, and her legacy carried on long after 101 Dalmatians. We usually use the Cruella DeVille reference for someone who's not really the nicest person. After all, Cruella does want the skin of 99 puppies for her coat. Cruella is very slim. She usually dresses way over the top, which makes her negative features stand out that much more. Cruella's most signature feature is her long coat, which makes her look even mightier. But wait until you see this version of Cruella. The artist named Jay reimagined Cruella into a nicer looking character, and we're very impressed. Her half black, half white hair is now beautifully styled, and her makeup is fantastic. The artist kept Cruella's villain exterior, but we have to admit that she looks much nicer than the cartoon version. Speaking of a beautiful Cruella, according to the Internet Movie Database, live-action 101 Dalmatians is in the works, with Emma Stone playing Cruella DeVille. We can't wait to see it. Claude Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The Hunchback of Notre Dame was released in 1996, which means it recently celebrated its 20th anniversary. The main antagonist's name was Claude Frollo, and he lusted after Esmeralda just as much as he lusted after getting rid of gypsies. You might have noticed a trend with Disney's villains. They all seem to be very slender, and Claude is no exception. He's thin, elderly, and has pale skin that's accompanied by an unfriendly look. The artist that's simply just called Jay reimagined Claude into a slightly less grumpy and better looking person. This version of Claude has a very mysterious vibe to him, and he briefly looks like he could play a vampire in Twilight. Not much has changed from his original version, which can only mean Claude was just too destructive. Did you know that he's actually considered to be one of the darkest Disney villains of all time? Sometimes it's very hard to believe that these types of movies were meant for children. We can totally see Claude pairing up with Dr. Facilier. These two would definitely be up to no good. Hades from Hercules. Hades might be a complete opposite of Claude Frollo. While he's still the main antagonist of Hercules, Hades has many funny moments that easily steal every scene he shows up in. Hades is a Greek god of the underworld, and even though he can be hilarious, he's still a villain in the story. He's a pretty popular character, but let's not forget he did attempt to steal Mount Olympus from the one and only Zeus. Hades is quite muscular and has a pretty, unique hairstyle. His hair is actually blue fire, which turns yellow when he's angry. Is Hades your favorite character? Wait until you see Jay the artist's impressive illustration. Can you say, ooh la la? Hades got the best makeover of all the villains we showed you so far. It looks even more majestic than usual. He was meant to have a similar attitude to Ursula from The Little Mermaid, but the writers decided to change his character once James Woods auditioned for the role. If Hades is your favorite Disney villain, you should thank James for auditioning, because otherwise this Greek god would have had a completely different role in the movie. Ursula from The Little Mermaid. They really weren't kidding when they called Ursula a witch. Did you know that Ursula's not an octopus? Yeah, it might be hard to believe, but if you count the tentacles, you'll notice that she only has 6 of them. Her 6 tentacles are there because 8 tentacles were a lot harder to animate. So instead of an octopus, Ursula is merely a squid with 6 tentacles. And you have to admit that this squid doesn't exactly have many attractive features. She has 2 alter egos, and she's extremely power-hungry and manipulative. Her light lavender skin and the mole on her cheek don't really do her any justice, but neither does her excessive use of makeup. Her look was actually based on a character from the Pink Flamingos movie called Divine. Jay, the artist, gave Ursula a second chance and reimagined her into one of the most remarkable characters we have ever seen. Ursula's original hair is short and white, but Jay gave this beauty long white hair that's gloriously floating around her body. She looks like she's got the smoky eye look down, and she's ready to rule the seas. We have to admit that we'd love to see this impressive version of Ursula in the actual movie. Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Maleficent is the main antagonist of 1959's Sleeping Beauty, and her character was so popular Disney gave her her very own live-action movie in 2014. Maleficent is the one that's responsible for all misfortune in the kingdom. She's cold-hearted, mysterious, and vengeful. Her looks are some of the most extreme looks we've seen in a female Disney villain, and they only highlight her ruthless attitude. Maleficent has very unusual mint skin, a slender body covered with a large cloak, a pointy chin, and 2 black horns on her head. This is what Maleficent would look like if she got a makeover. This image belongs to Kristen Reeves, and she did a fantastic job at showing a different side of this Disney villain. Of course, the horns are still there, so we can imagine her desire for revenge didn't go away. Her character also appeared in the popular TV show Once Upon a Time as well as the movie Descendants. She's also featured in many video games, and it's safe to say she's one of the most popular and influential villains out there. When Maleficent the movie came out in 2014, it received a lot of praise for the varied representation of female characters in the movie. So in a way, Maleficent really is using her vengeful powers for good. Well, sort of. Captain Hook from Peter Pan. And last but not least, it's everyone's favorite time-faring captain that's on a mission to take out Peter Pan. Captain Hook, the world's most famous crook. Captain Hook is one of those characters that would give you instant fear if you'd ever seen him in real life. He's incredibly persuasive, short-tempered, and dishonest. He's dressed like the typical captain of a pirate ship and has long black hair, thin mustache, and a hook on his left hand. Although he's never up to any good, Captain Hook does have a soft side. He is afraid of time because he's afraid of getting old. Jay the artist managed to capture his best features. Check out those piercing eyes and that mysterious look. We love it. Captain Hook is also a popular character and was heavily featured in the 2003 live-action version of Peter Pan. You can find him in video games and other TV shows like Once Upon a Time, where you can learn how he lost his hook. But don't worry, we won't spoil that for you. The truth is, Captain Hook might just be our favorite Disney villain, especially now that we've seen his beautiful side. That's it for 10 Disney villains reimagined as beautiful. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and check out 15 Disney princesses reimagined as real people. See you in the next video!